Wow. That's different. I really like that.
Peychauds or Pechaud's or Pechaud. Yeah, now I'm gorgeous. Although probably fuzzier was better.
Okay. So this is not what I expected. Hey, how's it going? It is Thursday. It is time to get underway, and we are wrapping up our series on Four Roses. Let's just go ahead and get this bad boy open. I think it's right. Yeah, it is right here. Decided to do something a little different tonight. We got a different setting. I keep saying I want to get out on the back porch, and between the mosquitoes and the extreme heat and whatever else, it hasn't really been conducive to doing so. But tonight, it's perfect. I almost didn't start the fire because when I started this thing, the wind was going that way, and it would have been coming right across the back of my head and right into the lens, and that would have been no bueno. But tonight, we're doing it al fresco. Got the single barrel open. We started off this series with the Four Roses Bourbon. This is the 80 proof. All the recipes are in this bottle. The Four Roses have got 10 different recipes, and they're all in here. We've kind of been continuing to go through this. I'll take you through it here real quick. You'll see here that the 10 recipes are there. Basically, that last letter is 5 different yeasts that they use, and you see there's 2 different mash bills, and those yeasts are combined with the mash bills for 10 different recipes. The very first one that we did was this 80 proof one, and that's all the recipes, aged about 5 years, and I mean it's a great beginner bourbon. It's tasty. It's a little thin for my taste, but it's good. And then we get into the small batch recipe, and that was a little bit different, where you see that only 2, 3, 7, and 8 were used in the recipes. Now these are those mash bills combined with their yeast profiles. And then last week we did the the very, very hot small batch select, which has recipes from 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, and 10. Very, very spicy. 104 proof. Most of the bite from that one, I think, comes from the spice instead of the proof, but the proof, it helped it some. And I found myself wanting to move into using water and using ice to knock that one down to mute the flavors, just because it was heavy duty. It hit me hard. Got to say hi to Michael and Kevin and Lester. Thank you for watching, you guys. Thanks for being a part of this. This is so much fun. We get to finally finish this series, and I'm looking forward to this one tonight. I've had the single barrel before. Of course, they're not all the same. It's a single barrel. By the way, I have a mosquito like tiki torch down below the table. It's a short one to keep the mosquitoes off me while we're talking, since now the wind is going that way. So if you see some smoke waffling across my nose, that may be where it's coming from. So anyhow, this is the single barrel from Four Roses. I'll give you that recipe profile so you get a look at it. This has 1 recipe. So this is the top mash bill, which is, I think, mash bill B, along with... No, tonight is not the time to call me. Thank you very much. He could have called me 2 days ago when I sent him a message. All right. And I even had my ringer turned off. That came across my computer. Isn't that fun? So going back to the recipes that you see where that one is. That is the V yeast from mash bill B and not E. And the V yeast has a delicate fruit overtone. And that's what Four Roses says about that particular yeast. So coming back out. So here we go. Let's get this thing poured. All right. Well, I brought a glass out. I forgot to bring out my Glencairn. We'll use this one. I'm going to use it anyway later on. This is not what I would normally want to taste a bourbon out of, but okay. We'll do it. I had a second camera here, you'd be able to see the setup that I've got. I got lights up and, of course, the microphone overhead. Got the fire in the background. Bumping into stuff. Yeah, this is not a good tasting glass, but that's okay. We'll be making a Black Manhattan just like we did all the other Four Roses. Now, last week we had success with the Black Manhattan with that small batch select, because that was just such a spicy drink that adding that full ounce of vermouth, the bourbon cut through the vermouth. The vermouth can be a little bit overwhelming, especially without a lot of spice, without a lot of proof. So that single barrel select really cut through nicely. Hey, Mac is watching. Hey, Mac. And Michael says, hello from the Coachella Valley. First time viewer. Michael, I appreciate you sticking around. If you're drinking with us, great. Let us know what you're drinking. And let me know what you think of this. We've got a kind of a select cadre of people that come each week and watch this silliness. And I'm not doing it for fame and I'm not doing it for money. I just do it because I like doing it. And the fact that people are watching it, I love it. I don't over promote. There's some people that promote on like every different page and every different group and I don't do that. If you find us, great. I appreciate it. And I'll mention it now and then. And don't tell anybody I did my tasting through this kind of glass and not a Glencairn. It's right in there. I could go get it, but then I'd have to get up. You see my Bourbon Steward pin. I remembered to put that on tonight. Very proud of this pin. I hope to get my Executive Bourbon Steward sometime soon. I don't know when I'm going to be able to accomplish that, but soon. All right, so in the absence of a Glencairn, I'm going to give this the best nose that I can. This is the single barrel from Four Roses, the last in the Four Roses line that we're going to taste. Did I say hi, Mac? Hi, Mac. I thought I did. Yeah, I should have brought out the Glencairn. Golly, I got to get the Glencairn. Sorry. All right. I'm sorry about that. If you're going to give it a proper tasting, you got to give it a proper tasting, and that glass is just, you can't do it with that. So, beg your pardon for having to get up and walk away. But when you think you got everything and you don't got everything, you guys are used to that by now anyway. All right. Now, I don't need to do much because I tossed it from glass to glass, right? Okay, now I did not look at tasting notes anywhere online. I like doing that sometimes just to see if there's something maybe I'm missing. Tonight I didn't do that, so everything that you're getting is basically what I'm going to give you, what my senses are. And the first thing that I got out of that was apple, maybe a sense of butter. Haven't even drank anything yet. Already burping. The cinnamons, a lot of the normal notes are there. The cinnamon and the vanilla. The nose is a little bit, it's a little bit sedate. It's something you almost have to search for. Where am I located? Your setup looks so good. You're talking about me, right? Normally we don't do it outside like this. Again, I just happened to take advantage of a really nice night. It's going to get dark here probably within the next half hour or so, but I'll still have lights on. I'll still be good. But we are located in Northwest Ohio. This is a controlled state. Liquor control, very allocated. But the upside to that is that everywhere you go, no matter what liquor store in the state you buy from, you're going to get the same price. Like Weller Special Reserve, going to be the same price in Cincinnati as it is in Cleveland and Toledo. That's one nice thing about it. And then similarly, liquor stores that are just over the border, Indiana, Michigan, Kentucky, maybe West Virginia, the prices aren't going to be a whole lot different just over the border. They may touch up a little bit. They may even be a little bit cheaper in some places. But they have to be competitive with Ohio. And Ohio is MSRP. So if Weller says that it's going to be a $50 bottle, is going to be a $50 bottle in Ohio. So now it doesn't mean that there aren't price increases. Now that the liquor agency has been privatized to an extent through Jobs Ohio, there's been an uptick in the pricing. But again, that price is going to be uniform throughout the state, even though there's a capitalistic side to it now, going back to Jobs Ohio, which is a private-public partnership between business and the government. That's as political as I get on this show. I don't offer opinions. Isn't that nice to come to a place that you don't get political crap? Isn't it nice? Political crap is why I drink. All right, let's go back to it. There might be a little raisin in that. Maybe some caramel. I'm still getting the apple. I wanted to search for honey, but I'm not finding it. Definitely some caramel or caramel. If you're from Ohio, it's caramel. If you're from California, it's caramel. And vanilla and cinnamon and apple and maybe some raisin. Those are the notes I'm getting on the nose. So I think this has had enough time now. Mosquitoes are starting to fly. Either that or it was a gnat. I can't tell if it's a gnat or a mosquito because these aren't on. Left my eyeballs off. Okay. This has got a nice spice to it. I didn't pour myself enough. It's got a really nice spice to it. This is probably of the four roses I've tried. This has got to be the best balanced of all four of them. There's nothing thin about the flavors. There's nothing thin about the mouthfeel. There's not too much spice. There's not too much proof. There's not too much ethanol. The ethanol, I talk about the bloom, and Mike, this may be new to you, but the bloom is something that I call that burn that starts in the center of your tongue and works its way out. That bloom on this is healthy but not oppressive, which I like. Again, I think this is the better balanced of them. It's not too much spice. It's not overwhelming me. This is just a nicely balanced bourbon. The color is fantastic. It's not too dark and it's not too light. It's not as thin as the small batch select or of the 80 proof. The 80 proof I thought was the thinnest of all, of course. But the small batch itself has, as you get into it a little bit, it's a little thin on the mouthfeel. I found myself getting more out of it when I added some water to it. And we will do that with this. But right now, of the four, I always liked the single barrel of Four Roses. Now after trying all four of them in the line, week after week after week, I'm going to solidify that this is the top. Now I haven't had any of the special releases or anything like that. I just what I can get off the shelf, what's readily available to me. And Four Roses, that's a nice thing. Four Roses is almost always available, with the single barrel being the one that's the most sought after and the harder to find of all of them. Although the small batch select has only been out for a little over a year. So that one still may not be getting out. I know it's not to all 50 states yet. It's only maybe a dozen states so far. So if you're not in Ohio, you may have trouble finding that one. Even if you are in Ohio, you may have trouble finding the small batch select. Although I still think that this one is the hardest to find. There are times that you won't see this in a liquor store for 6 months. Let's give it another shot here. I'm working on a sneeze here because this smoke is coming right up my nose. I'll move that over a little bit. Maybe I can get it to go that way. Still burning nicely. I'll tell you what, that on a cool summer's eve, pretty pleasant. I can feel it on my back. Very nice. I sat out here yesterday cool breezes, hot sun. It felt like I was sitting in front of a campfire. It was fantastic. Yeah. So this is using that fruity yeast, and there's a real nice component of fruit to that. I'm catching some citrus, definitely the apple is still there, some raisin, definitely a fruity, not overly so, but if your taster's working, you're definitely going to get some nice fruits out of this one. Pardon my eyes, the smoke is going right in them. That is a gnat. I don't want him flying in my bottle. I don't know if you've ever heard this story or not. Well, I was in Louisville 2 years ago for a conference, and we went to the Hard Rock Cafe, and I had never had Old Forester 1920 before, so I ordered the Old Forester, really kind of excited about it. No, it was 1910. Really kind of excited about it, and the Old Forester came out, and there were fruit flies in it. So I sent it back, said, try again, and they gave me another glass, and it had even more fruit flies in it. So I acted like it was a capitulation. I said, just take it back and bring me the Blantons. So I got the Blantons, and it didn't have any fruit flies in it. So it's kind of funny. But so now, I mean, I know that fruit flies and gnats, they like bourbon, and why shouldn't they really? So so I try to keep the cap on it when I'm outside, keep these little flying buggers away from it. The caramels are there, the vanillas are there, there's a nice touch of cinnamon. Like I said, this is just so nicely balanced. It's got a great proof. I know I did the proof. I don't remember what it was. Let's go back to that single, nope, that ain't it. There we go. So this one is, it's 100 proof. I knew that, duh. That single recipe with that fruity yeast from Mash Bill B. This is aged 7 to 9 years. It's just a single barrel, so this is not a mixture or a blend, this is nice. I was investigating the High West Double Rye tonight for a friend of mine who has some, and we were figuring that out, and that has a blend of 2 different MGP ryes. He started off not liking it. Now he does, because you got to open things. Sometimes you got to let it sit. All right, one more of these, and then we're going to add some water to it. There's a flavoring that's there that's stubborn, and I can't think of what it is. It's not that salted caramel. It's something else. That apple may be a part of it. Oh, I got that little bugger. Little things make me happy. Bourbon, squashing mosquitoes, moving this out of my face. Ugh. That smoke is just coming right at me. And now it's coming right at me. It's like a campfire. There's no good place to sit. That smoke will just get you. There. All right. Okay. Now I think I've got it moved for a while. Okay. Let's do a little bit of water. There we go. Put that cork back in it. We are going to make a Black Manhattan here shortly. I've been making that with all the drinks, all the 4 roses. Last week with a small batch select, that 104 proof, high spice, higher rye, that one was really nice on a Manhattan. That smoke is going right across the lens. Let's move it one more time. Put it up on the bench. Maybe that'll help. All right. Tickling my nostrils. All right, so we add a little water to it. Outside has its own little challenges. Like trying to get the cap on straight without your glasses on. All right. Just a little bit of water. I'm new to the bourbon whiskey game, Michael says. I've always preferred beer. The only experience I've really had in all my 61 years is Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. Trying to find a pour that I could crack for special occasions and entertaining. Stick with me, Michael. Funny enough, I had a friend who tried his Woodford Reserve again today. I have been on him to try it. He tried it like a year ago and he hated it. Said it was too spicy, too much, didn't like it. I thought, well, you said the same thing about the High West Double Rye. So, since now you like the High West Double Rye, why don't you try the Woodford Reserve and see if you like it? He still didn't like it. So I don't know if he would like the Double Oaked. He likes smoky stuff. When we go to the bar together, he likes a smoked bourbon, where you infuse smoke in the bourbon. But that's different than oakiness. That's different than tasting that char. He's not a fan of it. I happen to love Woodford Reserve. It's in my top 5. It rotates around. Sometimes it's my favorite. Depends on the day. Kind of like coffee. I've got like 4 or 5 different coffees in there. And I'll take one, and that'll be my favorite coffee. Then the next day I'll have a different one. Oh, that's my favorite coffee. It happens over and over and over again. But I do like the Woodford Reserve, and the fact that you like that one and the Double Oak tells me that you're going to be just fine. There's a lot of different bourbons that you're going to like. And this is actually an exciting note for you, Michael, because not next week, but the week after, this would be the 16th. 16th is probably the next show. We're going to take next week off. But the 16th is the beginning of the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. And we're not going to that opening day. We may not go at all now, it seems, but I'll let you know. But we are on the 16th. I'm going to do a special day, a special night, featuring all what I would consider entry-level bourbons. Had a phone call the other night from a friend of mine who went to a bachelor party. And around that bachelor party, they were around a campfire, and they were all drinking Busch Light, which is like as heavy as they go. And this friend of mine likes bourbon, and he took a bottle of Larceny, which is 92 proof. It's a wheated bourbon. It's only aged a couple of, maybe 3-4 years. It's not a long ager, maybe 4, because I don't think there's an aging statement on the bottle, so it would have to be 4 or more. And he passed that around, and everybody was cussing him out because it was too heavy duty for them. So I don't want to scare anybody away if they want to start drinking whiskey. And since you're a newcomer to it, tune in 2 weeks from tonight, Michael, and I'll give you a primer of all the things that I think will be good for a first-time bourbon drinker. We'll try to treat you gently, okay? Okay. All right. So this is on the water. I've given this plenty of love, so let's just go for it. I'm not going to say that the water changed it significantly. I think that it reinvigorated some of the ethanol and definitely some of the spice. So like that very first dram that you taste and get your mouth ready for it, and then you taste other ones after that, and it just kind of normalizes, the water kind of picked all that back up again. So I don't think that it changed the flavor. I don't think it changed the profile. I don't think it changed the mouthfeel. It kind of just woke things back up again. And I don't think it's been that long since the first dram and this dram to make that big of a difference. I'm just thinking I didn't bring my good glass out for ice either. Dag nabbit. I'm not going to get up again. I'll just have to make it work. It's holding onto the glass really nice. All right, now there's no sugar in this. If you're looking at a wine, you have to be able to discern whether that's sugar hanging onto the side of the glass or alcohol hanging onto the side of the glass. If it's a sweet wine, it could be sugar. If it's a dry wine, it might just be the alcohol. All right. Okay. So let's get into adding that ice sphere. And I'm sorry again, I don't have the right glass for this, but we're going to add an ice sphere to it. I'm curious about this one because the water didn't do much. So I'm wondering what the ice will do. I love these ice spheres. I know that some of you have been waiting to see my new ice mold, my new ice maker. Still has not arrived. Now, they warned me in early to mid-August that it may not arrive when they wanted it to and when I wanted it to. And sure enough, it has not arrived. But I told the company, I said, take your time. I will not be one of these people that are screaming and yelling and crying and gnashing my teeth and ripping my clothes over the fact that my stupid ice mold didn't get here. So I still wait with bated breath and clenched teeth and excitement. When it gets here, it gets here. And we will celebrate together when it does. I really can't roll this around too much. It isn't the right kind of glass for that. I'll end up spilling it all over myself. I guess I could try to stir it. I don't know if it's going to work or not. It's one thing I don't do very well yet, is stir. Yeah, that's better. Just grab a little bit of that ice globe. Okay. That's interesting. On ice, what I got was the char of the barrel. I got a smoke, maybe a tobacco leaf, but the smoke of the barrel, the char, is what I got a hold of there. It was the first thing I tasted out of anything. Kind of stunning, actually, because I didn't get that oak, maybe a little bit, but I didn't get that smoke, that char. I'm definitely getting it when it's on ice, because it's going to mute some of the other flavors. It's going to mute some of the intricacies of the bourbon, the sweetness and the caramels, and it's going to mute that. Now, I was happy for that last week when we did the small batch select. This sucker's hot. So muting this was not such a bad thing. But muting this one, I did not expect that. Ooh, I got him. Yeah, I did not expect that. But that's what I'm getting. That char, that smoke, and little else. Yeah, I can't say I like this on ice. I don't like the way it tastes. It loses so much. And that's something that always kind of disturbs me a little bit, is when I take a really good bourbon, I put it on ice, and the character changes so much that it's not even good anymore. Or it completely falls apart, like Blade and Bow does. On ice, Blade and Bow, but this, it doesn't fall apart. It just changes so profoundly that I don't like the flavor of it anymore. Now, last week, the small batch select, I thought it was better on ice. That's pretty much the way I'm going to drink this one. This one, I don't care for it. Yeah, I'm not digging that. I'd like to, but I don't. All right, moving along. Time to make a drink. All right. I go compact. These are as good as a Yeti. They'll hold ice forever. Of course, now the neighbors have decided to let their kids, their screaming brats outside, to scream and act like an idiot. You know who screams louder, though? The dad. You won't be able to hear him very well. I hear him, though, and it's distracting. Okay. That. All right. So. Okay. So a Black Manhattan is real simple. I'm going to use 1.5 ounces of the Four Roses. Then I'm going to use 3/4 ounce of the vermouth. And this is the Carpano Antica vermouth. This is a darn good vermouth. If you have anything else, you at least need to put this one in your bar, because it's that good. It's really tasty. We'll see if it cuts through like it did last week, or if the bourbon can cut through it like the small batch select did. Keep those bugs out of there. All right, then we take the black walnut bitters. 1, 2. I'm gonna add 3. You're only supposed to do 2, but I added 3 because I'm a rebel, Dottie, a loner. Little Pee Wee Herman for you. All right, let's give this a good 30-second stir. So the outside of the mixing glass gets frosty or really cold to the touch. Ooh, there we go. I moved that citronella torch, and now I got the mosquitoes bugging me. I may have to live with the smoke and put it back down here. There we go. I'm just going to go ahead and put it right over that ice sphere. It's not necessarily supposed to be served on ice, but there's no law that says it can't be. Get away. All right. Salute. Oh, wait. I got called on this. I can't do it again. On ice it gets syrupy. Yeah, it does, Kevin. You're right. It kind of had this. That's the viscosity. That's a terrible way to describe a bourbon, but syrupy is a great way to describe it. And just, the taste just wasn't there. Just didn't care for that. All right. Oh, there it is. All right. So here we go. I brought everything out. It just. There we go. A couple of weeks ago, I got called out for making one of these without the Luxardo cherry. I got some of this on here. I'm just going to stir that into the drink. Can't hurt, right? There we go. Put the lid back on that before it ends up in my lap. Talking about syrupy. I'm surprised at how much I actually like these. I don't like cherries very well. I really like these. I like what it does to the drink. I've never been a maraschino cherry fan, but I like these. Yeah. I think I still like the small batch select in a Manhattan a little bit better. I saw him flying. But really it does pretty well in a black Manhattan. I'm getting a nice, now I only use 3/4 of an ounce of the vermouth instead of a full ounce. Normally I would use 1.5 ounces of the bourbon and a full ounce of the vermouth. I cut that down by 1/4 ounce tonight. I'm glad I did. This is a lower proof and a lower spice than the small batch select. And this cut through it really nicely last week with 1.5 ounces and 1 ounce. So I wanted to take it down just a little bit, 1.5 ounces and 3/4 of the vermouth, and it really worked out nicely. Really happy with the final product of this. That might be a perfect Manhattan right there. That may be the best Manhattan I've ever made. Last week's was really tough. That was really close, but this one is gang. It's right on, right on. Really like that one. All right, so there you have it. We've done the Four Roses bourbon. Scoot that. We've done the Four Roses small batch. The Four Roses small batch select. And now the single barrel. That concludes our series on Four Roses, and I will tell you that I had a blast doing this one. I really enjoyed doing the Buffalo Trace one a while back, so if you haven't seen that one, Michael, you might want to go back and take a look at that one. That one was fun to do too. We did some of the ryes, we did Stag Junior, we did Buffalo Trace and Eagle Rare and Sazerac and the White Dog. We did a bunch of them. That was a fun series. But this one was a fun series as well. And as the opportunity arises, and I get enough different bottles from a single distiller, I'll continue to do these series because it is fun to do. But next time we're with you, again, it's going to be 2 weeks from tonight, not next week. I'm going to take a few days to decompress and turn off all the electronics and ignore the world for just a few days. I'm going to take like 4 days and go chill. And I'm looking forward to it. So we won't be here next Thursday, but we will be here 2 Thursdays from now, and we're going to go over my thoughts on what those beginner bourbons ought to be. We've touched on it just a little bit, but I really want to get into it next week and go over some of those. We might have a half a dozen bourbons. I don't know that I'll try them all, because some of them I think I've tried already, and some of them I haven't given a proper Beautiful Bourbon tasting. By the way, Michael, if you're new to Beautiful Bourbon, and you said you are, we named it that because of the photography that I take. I like taking really nice photos of the bourbons. That's where it all started. And somebody suggested that I do a blog. So I started one, and I haven't kept it up very well, but it's at beautifulbourbon.com, and that's where a lot of my photographs go of my bourbons, as well as Instagram and Facebook. Instagram at Beautiful Bourbon, Facebook at Beautiful Bourbon. And then I just started tasting these things and started doing videos about it, and it just caught on, and now it is what it is, and I'm using all this equipment and setting nice settings and just having a blast, and it just gets more fun every time I do it. But in 2 weeks, like I said, we'll do entry-level bourbons for people that are just getting started. I don't think I'm going to make Woodford Reserve Double Oaked a piece of that, because that's generally not one I would recommend to a new bourbon drinker, but the fact that you love it tells me you're going to be just fine. And the rest of you, thank you for joining me. You know how to share this. Do so. Tell people about it if you enjoy it. If there's things that you want me to do differently, if there's suggestions that you have, if there's a bourbon you want me to try, let me know. Let me know in the comments, or PM me, IM me, whatever it is. And let me know what you're thinking. I take comments. As Kevin knows, I do take recommendations. He's made quite a few that I still haven't gotten to. So there's a list. And he's got a couple bourbons that he's going to bring if we ever get a chance to do this together. So I'm looking forward to that. I'd never intended to make this entire season alone, but pandemics are pandemics, and it's not going away. So we're just going to chill until everything is chill. Again, I want to say thank you all for watching. This has been an absolute blast. I look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks with Entry Level Bourbon Night. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to the feedback that we get on that one. And hey, we will see you then. Until then, have a safe Labor Day. And remember those who fought for us and died and sacrificed on September 11th. The 20th anniversary is just ahead. My daughter was 1 year old. My son wasn't even born yet. I'd only been married 5 years. A lot has changed in 20 years. I have gray hair now. I was only 34 years old. Yeah. Do the math and shut up. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you for watching. Take care. Share.